What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another one of these tasty treats. Yeah, what are we going to be looking at today? We're going to be looking at equations today, and I think equations are important because when you have something that doesn't stand all by its own, you guys know what I mean, you know, all these, oh, I gotta, put any x on the other side again, I gotta, complete the square again, whatever. Which rules do equations actually follow, and how are they staged and built up? So let's just look at this. When talking about equations, guys, the most important thing to know is that what's on the left is on the right. Alright? If this does not apply, then you have done it wrong. That's the conclusion. Alright? So, again, let me just state this. So you have, basically you have, I don't know, this is an equation. 52 is equal to 52, right? Is this true? Yes, it is true, but this is basically the way in which equations are built. You guys have to understand that when solving for x, you are actually solving for x, but if you were to plug x in, you actually get something like this in the end, right? So you guys remember, you know, you solve for x, and then you solve for the unknown variable, and then you get something like this. Okay. Why am I getting something like this? Because you did it right, and that is the reason why you're getting something like this, because 52 is in fact equal to 52, and yeah, that is the exact reason why I did that correct. Alright, let's now write down some rules for equations. So, rule number one, the left side must be equal to the right side. If this rule is not fulfilled, you did something wrong. Rule number two. Only the same units can be put into an equation. So you guys cannot say 50 meters is equal to 50 liters. You guys cannot say 50 kilograms is equal to 50 volts. That is not true. So you always have to have kilo is equal to kilograms and kilograms, right? X kilograms is equal to X kilograms in the end, right? Good. Third point, mathematical operations must be performed on both sides equally. When you multiply one side by a certain number, you have to multiply everything on both sides by the number that you're multiplying. You cannot say, alright, I'm gonna multiply this plus, but then not this part of the equation. That's not how it works. If you make a line there, you write times 5. Both sides times 5 is the key. Right, guys, so this is a summary. Off of the top of my head, I did not know more than these 3 rules. If you guys know more, leave them in the comments, but these are the rules that I basically keep in mind when doing some equations, because I really can't think of anything that is like, it's literally called equations. So maybe one thing to help you guys is equations, equate, it's the same. Left must be right, you know? It's the same. Only the same units can be put into an equation. And mathematical operations must be performed on both sides equally. Again, the same. Alright. I've had a bit of a drink and now we can send it. Not alcohol, of course. Anyways, so we have one equation and I have already defined what a variable is, guys, in one of my videos. So go check that out. But a variable is basically just a placeholder in the very quick example. So what can we do here? How do we calculate the x? Well, okay, some of you guys might just say, okay, we know what the x is. Well, yes, we do actually know what the x is, but let's just calculate it in a manner which we've discussed right before this. So let's see. We have 12 minus x is equal to 5. Let's see. What do? We can do the same things on both sides. Remember that. So basically, why are we solving equations? We're actually, when you're solving equations, this is already defined. The x is already defined. So what you're basically doing is actually kind of pointless. I must myself admit that solving equations like this is kind of pointless, because if you get it right, then like you get my point. Like, this is already defined. Like, even before solving this, like even if there's like a complex equation here, you know, which goes over 5 rows, it's already defined, because you just have to do the work yourself. But it's already defined. So that's, I think, one thing that is difficult. And I like these solving for x equations, but I must admit that it's sometimes it's pretty useless, simply because of the fact that yeah, as mentioned previously, x is already defined the second that you write down the equation. Okay, unless it's an invalid equation, then it's not defined. Good. Let's look at this. So both sides the same, right? So what I would do at this point is what probably most of you guys will also do. So I would just throw over the 12, right? So we want to isolate the x. So okay, how do we solve equations, right? Or what is the goal, right? Let me just write that goal down. Goal: isolate variable. Goal is to have x is equals 2. That's the goal. Alright, so let's do that. So 12 minus x is equal to 5. So we have straight line there. This is basically the operation that we use when we do something with functions. This is just basically saying, okay, this is not the function. This is just the equation, and this whole equation will be multiplied or divided or squared or plus minus by what is behind this straight line. This is basically what the straight line is saying. Because if I just put plus 5 here, it's going to look like I'm actually calculating 5 plus 5. But that's why I have this line here, right? So this line is usually a little bit longer, so you guys can actually really differentiate between this and what comes here. So let's do minus 12. That leaves us with a very important thing. So how? Work slowly. This has to be done slowly, because one mistake that you guys can do in this equation will be just to write this. This is incorrect. What is correct? Minus x is equal to 5 minus 12, right? That is correct. Now, next step is minus x, and we just calculate that out, which is minus 7. Now, we have on both sides we have minus, so what do? Put down the line and go times minus 1, right? And you just have x is equals to 7, that's it. That's the answer. Why is it correct? As I mentioned previously, it's already solved. If you plug in 7 for x, 12 minus 7 is 5, and that is actually correct. Because 12 minus 7 is 5, and 5 is equal to 5, and so that is why that is correct. Great! Alright, so let's ramp things up a notch. 4 over 3y minus 5 is equal to 2 over 5. Alright, how do we solve this? How do we do this? Well, when solving this applies. Work slowly, guys. Chill out. Nothing is running away from you. You have to chill. You know, I could probably do this in 30 seconds or in 20 seconds, but it's not that easy. So, when doing this, you know, I mean, I could just no, you can't flip it. So, good. So, when solving these types of equations, you always have to get rid of this divided by. You don't want to have that there. So what do? Okay, we just say times 5, right? Because 2 over 5, we just get rid of that by going times 5, right? Good. Now remember, times 5. What are the rules for multiplication, right? In the fractional form. So we have, in this example, I'm just going to write it down slowly here. 5 over 2 times 5. What is that equal to? 5 over 2 times 5. Sorry about that. That would not make any sense, but I just realized. So 2 over 5 times 2 over is equal to 2 over 5 times 5 over 1, which is just equal to 2 over 5 times 5 times 5 divided by 1. We can just cross this out. We have 2 over 1, which is just 2, right? Remember this, right? These are the steps how we do this, okay? So we already calculated that this must be 2. Good. Same thing with the other side. Remember, 5 is the same as 5 over 1, right? Good. So we can just say 4 times 5, right? Because there's nothing multiplying this bottom thing, right? So we say 4 times 5 is 20 divided by 3y minus 5. Great. That's the next step. All right. Now, what do we do now? Well, I suggest we multiply the whole thing by 3y minus 5. Because we want to get the fractions out. So I'll just say multiply by 5. Multiply by. Good. So let's do this. What happens if we do times this on the left side? What happens, guys? Exactly. Times the whole thing, which means why did I do this in the first place? It's going to cancel, and that is important to know. So we are left with what? We are left with 20, because again, 20 over 3 minus 5 times 3y minus 5 divided by 1. This and this cancels. We're left with 20. Great. Is equal to, and now, very important thing, work slowly. Again, this was explained in my 2 videos ago. How do we do this? Well, you have to multiply everything by everything. So we have 2 times the whole thing. 2 times, open up the brackets, 3y minus 5. Close the brackets. Good. Let's actually calculate this out. 20 is equal to 6y minus 10. Right? You guys get that? 2 times 3y is 6y, and then 2 times minus 5 is minus 10. Great. Why is 2 times minus 5 not plus 10? No, because you have 2 times minus 5, and that is not plus 10. Why? Because 2 times minus 5 means minus 5 plus minus 5. This is what this means. 2 times minus 5 is this. It's not minus 5 minus minus 5, right? That's 0. That's nothing. Good. We have this. Now, just simple things. We go plus 10, right? Again, remember, both sides plus 10. Minus 10 plus 10 is equal to 0. 20 plus 10 is equal to 30. Great. And now, we just divide by 6, right? Pretty simple, I think. And we have y is equal to 5. And that is the solution for this problem. Great. Let's actually check that, shall we? So, let's just do this in our brains. I think we're smart enough, guys. Good. Let's plug in y is equal to 5. So, we had, yeah, I can already see that, that's correct. Good. So, 3 times 5 is 15, right? 15 minus 5 is 10, and 4 over 10, if we just, cancel that out, we get 2 over 5, so this is actually correct. Alright, a bit of a harder one, bit of a longer, maybe not even. Let's have a look. So, we have a double fraction right here. We have one fraction, and they are just divided by each other basically, so not that difficult. What are the rules for these fractions already discussed in my previous video, so go check that out if you guys need education on that. The rules are multiply the outer side by the outer side, and the inner side by the inner side, and the outer side multiplied by each other are actually the ones that are going to be on top of the fraction, of the new fraction. So, again guys, remember, multiply everything by everything. That is the key here, right? Everything by everything. 10 times 3x minus 15, 2 times 15x plus 10. Alright, everything by everything. Good, great. Now let's calculate this out, or you guys maybe see something. Oh, we have times and times. We can actually do something. We can do this and this. Why can we do that? Because actually in my last video I said that this was not possible. Yes, but you're multiplying this with this whole thing. And the same with this whole thing, right? So this is why that's possible, because there is no plus or minus here. You're just doing multiplication in this example, right? So you can actually say that this is just 5 times 3x minus 15 over 15x plus 10 is 21 over 4. Great. Now let's actually do some math here. So we get 5 times 3 is just 15. We have minus 75 over 15x over 15x plus 10. Good. Is equal to 21 over 4. Now some of you guys might say we can do some crossing out and stuff like that. That's bullshit, guys. Don't do that. Although, looking at this, you all are not that wrong, because what can we do? We can do this. Let me just bring that up here. We can say, actually, we can actually go back to this version of the multiplication. 5 by 3x minus 15 divided by taking the 5 out of this equation plus 2, right? So 5 times 3x is 15x, 5 times 2 is 10, right? Good. Now this and this cancels again, so we actually have very much simplification again, which is just 21 over 4. Great. Now, already here, we can already calculate times 3x plus 2, right? So we just bring this away from, so multiplication, multiply by fractions, so that's what we did. The fraction is here, we multiply by the fraction itself, so that leaves us with 3x minus 15 is equal to 21 over 4. Yeah, let's 21 over 4 is the same as what? Same as 5.285, right? So let's just put it that way. Or let's not put it that way, because we would have to use the calculator for that, so let's actually do it this way. So let's say 21 over 4, 3x plus 2, right? So we just, again, this is divided by 1, so we can put it up top, and we just do the same thing as before. 3x minus 15 is equal to 63x plus 42 over 4. Now we multiply by 4. We say 12x minus 60 is equal to 63x plus 42. And now it's just a simple game of, you know, putting this there, and I can do that for you guys, but yeah, I think you guys get the point. Minus 12x, and we have, what do we have? So we can put this there, we go minus 62, minus 42, I'm sorry, and that leaves us with minus 102 is equal to 51x. Simple, right? X is minus 2. Easy. Or actually, sorry. That's the way. Good. Easy. Should we try plugging that in or no? We can of course. So yeah, let's start plugging that in. Actually, let's do this properly though. Let's actually plug this in. So 3x, so minus 6 minus 15 over 2 over minus 30 plus 10 over 10 should be the same as 21 over 4, right? So let's see this. I'm just gonna write this here. So minus 6 minus 50 is 21 over 2 over minus 20 over 10, which is just 21 over 4. And yeah, we can actually do the same thing that we did before. Sorry, this is also negative. And we can just say 21 times 10 divided by 2 times 20, so we can just say, which is equals to 21. So we have minus minus, so this is just plus in the end. 21 times 10 over 2 times 20, we can say this cancels, and we are left with 2 here, 1 here, 21 over 4. Great, guys, that is the way we did it. All right, not that difficult, just takes time. This is just a practice. Of course, this is not difficult for me, but yeah. So equations, guys, very important thing in math. Make sure you guys also learn this, because never forget to do the same thing on both sides, right? This is the most important thing when solving equations, right? And also, there are no units here, so x is not kilograms, x is not meters, x is nothing. So we can actually compare these because these are just numbers, right, in the end. Good. Thank you guys for watching. There will be other videos on solving equations, but we will solve harder equations.